Well, as part of our continuing series highlighting city advisory groups, this month we take a closer look at a group that plays an important role in maintaining the aesthetics of Santa Barbara's historic downtown and waterfront. It is called El Pueblo Viejo, the Old Town. It is the city's architectural heart, anchored by historic buildings of exceptional quality and character. Together they form the foundation that gives Santa Barbara one of the most recognizable identities in the world.
I think the most important thing about our city is the fact that we're one of a very few thematic cities in the United States. What a thematic city is one that follows some sort of an architectural guideline or trend or past architectural style. In this case, it's the Spanish colonial architecture. So we have a style that started in the 1920s called Spanish Colonial Revival, and it takes its architectural cues from the original Spanish architecture, the white stucco walls, the small casement windows, the red tile roofs, the things that we see around town.
You always feel like you're in an integrated design district as opposed to a fragmented one. So yeah, thematic, but I would say cohesive.
The guardian of this historic area is a group of 9 citizen volunteers known as the Historic Landmarks Commission. The story of the commission began in 1959 when the California State Legislature passed a bill enabling local communities to provide for historic districts and landmarks and regulate their protection and enhancement. The bill inspired the city to create the El Pueblo Viejo Historic District in the downtown and waterfront areas. The following year, El Pueblo Viejo was further strengthened with the City Council's adoption of an ordinance formally establishing the district and its styles of architecture and prohibiting the demolition of any adobe structure. All buildings located in the district are subject to review by the Commission.
What they do is they offer feedback to the applicant or owner on what this design is going to look like. I mean, a lot of times a design on paper doesn't turn out looking like it really looks after it's built. And HLC has the experience to look at these designs and kind of know what it's going to look like. And a lot of times, you know, the HLC will change the design of a project, and afterwards the owners or applicants come back later and they're so appreciative of the information and the knowledge that HLC provided, and the changes that happen on that project make it turn out to be a better project.
One of the things I think people don't realize is that it is the incremental erosion of architectural character that can happen with small increments of change that you're not looking at and you're not watching all the time. And that's one of the things we do. So we're always keeping that in our minds.
Santa Barbara's unique style of architecture reflects an equally unique approach to city planning. Any exterior changes to a building in the district requires review by the Commission. Commercial signs within the district are also subject to review to meet the district guidelines. However, the Commission has no review authority over a structure's interior.
Well, the Historic Landmarks Commission has a set of guidelines, and it's called the El Pueblo Viejo Design Guidelines, and we've just revamped them with the help of HLC members, staff, and members of the community. And the guidelines are designed to help the HLC to implement this style of architecture, Spanish Colonial Revival, and some associated styles that are associated with it in our new designs that are being built in the city. That's why you'll see new buildings downtown have the red tile roofs, the white stucco walls, and have that Hispanic feeling.
Members are proficient in issues of historic preservation, architectural design, and landscape design.
I see ourselves as consultants. The Commission is made up of architects, both building and landscape, architectural historians, and some people who are not in the profession but who have such an astounding knowledge of the history of Santa Barbara and the buildings and how it's put together. So when the applicant comes, they've basically got a group of really good consultants to say, well, you know, I think your building is good, and I think this is great, and this, but if you would just pull the entry over to here, then we won't be seeing the car go in there and all that. And these are things that maybe the applicant has considered and maybe rejected, but did not realize that perhaps it would be a better thing to fit into El Pueblo Viejo.
It's not just red tile roofs that identify El Pueblo Viejo. The Commission also examines architectural details like the use of natural materials, lighting fixtures, colors, and appropriate landscaping.
This is one of the real treasures and jewels of Santa Barbara. The first thing you want to notice, and I think is important, and it has to do with urban design guidelines as well as landmarks, is the outdoor space and how it is shaped and contained by the forms of the buildings, how it interacts with the buildings, so there's an inside-outside constant interaction. And then you want to look at, there's a very human scale. This is an urban, very urban building, yet there's a very residential and human scale to the buildings, the proportions. There's nothing that feels overwhelming. Then you start looking at the smaller things that are happening. So, for instance, you can see that there's sort of limited use of milled lumber, that lintel above the door there, that stair and the wrought iron is recessed into that entry there. It's not right out front. You can see the wonderful use of little landscape pieces. The courtyard, the fountain is a big element of this.
So the next time you're strolling around downtown and enjoying the historic ambiance, remember much of it can be attributed to the work of the dedicated community volunteers of the Historic Landmarks Commission. For more information on the Historic Landmarks Commission, go to the city's website, santabarbaraca.gov, and click on the quick link called Boards and Commissions. And we'll be right back.